Fantastic. Normally I would play the fantastic little intro music. In fact, I can start it now. But we're going to skip past that because StreamYard, the wonderful technology that we use to do our live streams, have added background music. Can you hear it? Anyway, so whilst I'm enjoying myself, welcome to our Friday stream. It is Friday, which means it's time to do our live website. Well, it's not a live website stream today. In fact, we're going to do something a little bit different today. We're going to be talking about our marketing ROI survey. So last year we did a marketing ROI survey where we asked small and medium-sized businesses how much of a return they were getting on their investment into marketing. And we've repeated that survey for this year, and it's been done by we've looked into the statistics and looked into the data, and we've created a fantastic blog post about it, written by our digital marketer, Jess Purcell, who's going to be joining our stream today. But before I bring Jess to talk about the results of the survey, just to highlight that, first of all, I'd love to know where you're watching from today. So do tell me in the chat which part of the world you're watching us from. I'm in a surprisingly sunny Edinburgh today, which is fantastic to see. So yeah, do tell me where you're watching from. Also, a bit of caretaking. We do our prize giveaway a copy of our book, How to Get to the Top of Google. Go away, Jess. So all you have to do is get a copy of our updated book. So we have a new version, 2022, a new version of that book. If you want to be entered as a prize draw for that, all you have to do is just tell me where you're watching from today, or say anything in the chat today. It'll be really good to see your engagement. So you can either go buy a copy of the book, or you can enter the prize draw. The book is currently £0.0 over on Kindle. So if you want to get a Kindle copy, you can. Otherwise, you can enter the prize draw for the paperback. And whichever copy you get access to these freebies. So let's just get rid of that little thing now. So with all the templates and things I mentioned inside of the book are now available via these download page. So you get access to this URL by getting a copy of the book. You get our keyword research template, our on-page SEO checklist template thing, content planning, content outreach, influence outreach, a whole bunch of stuff to help you do your marketing. As well as when you buy the book, you also get access to lifetime updates. All you have to go is to the URL that's mentioned in the book, and you can get every time we have an update every year, we'll send you a new copy, a PDF copy of the book, so you can find out what's changed from this year to from last year. So again, all you have to do is be active in the chat. Unless, of course, you don't want the paperback, so I'm giving away a paperback, you can go to exposureninja.com/YouTube and get a copy straight away of the 2022 edition. So that's exposureninja.com/YouTube to get a copy of that book. So where are people watching us from today? Let's find out. We have Farnborough in the UK. We have Creative Magic watching us from Hampshire. Tortoise Property, nice to see you once again from Peterborough in the UK. Phil from a freezing Tokyo, sad to hear. Ben, the book is great. I bought a copy, fantastic. Well, I hope you had access to those freebies because they're super useful. They're basically everything that we do at the campaign level for our clients, our award-winning campaigns. Exactly the same kind of templates, obviously with some tweaks, but you can get those for free by, going to the link that's mentioned several times in that book. We have Mark Dixon from South Wales. We have a LinkedIn user whose name I can't see, watching from Whitehaven in the UK. We have Jazz from Essex. We have Shannon watching in West London. We have Springs in Italy. We have Hitchin from Algeria. Lovely. Ben, it's great you offer digital book updates for free. Absolutely. I mean, we want that book to be useful to you for your marketing today, for your marketing in 5 years' time. I mean, fortunately, everything there is best practices. It's what we use in our campaigns and have done for years. And because we're a really clean digital marketing agency, SEO agency, nothing in there is against guidelines. It's all what Google has been basing their algorithm around for years. So the tweaks that we put in there are just whenever Google has an algorithm update, they put more focus on page loading time, stuff like that. We just add more mentions of that to make sure that you're well covered. Fantastic. We also have Jess joining us from. I can't remember the name where you live. I'm not going to tell people. It's a secret.
Lincolnshire.
Yeah, Lincolnshire. That'll do.
There we go. That'll do.
So yeah, hey Jess, how's it going?
Hi, it's good. It's very bright in here. I apologize. I shut the blinds, but it did nothing. So yeah,
Well, at
it's
least
very
it's bright.
Indeed,
You
it's
could
nice.
be in a frozen Tokyo like Phil is.
True.
Count our blessings. So, Jess, you've done a fantastic blog post about the results of that marketing ROI survey that we put out towards the end of this year, beginning of 2020. Sorry, the end of 2021, beginning of 2022. I'm just going to pop it into the chat for everyone to see.
Lovely.
Happy to tap.
Find it.
Oh, I've got it. Right, let's just bring it onto the screen. So we're going to be covering this blog post. So all the results that we cover today are all explained in here. So if you want to get access to the data, it's in here. If you want to get access to these infographics, you can grab them as well, all from this blog post. But the most important thing is this one key subject of 80% of businesses getting no leads from their blog. So that's what we're going to be helping you with today. 80%. Can you believe
80%.
it? So 80%.
Yes.
8 of the 10 people watching right now, or 2 of the 26 people watching right now, 4 people of the 20 plus people watching now getting the only people getting leads from their blogs, which is astonishing. So 16 people getting no leads.
That's a lot. Yeah. That's a big number.
That's really terrifying. We have Milo in Glasgow watching as well. Fantastic. Well, Jess, you put a presentation together to help everyone not be part of that 80%. So perhaps you'd like to take some there, and I'm going to adjust the levels of this fantastic music.
It's really catchy. It's very catchy indeed. It's nice to have background music. Just a bit of housekeeping, like Dale did before. If you put anything in chat, you'll be entered to win a copy of our marvelous book updated for 2022. And if you have any questions, you can put them throughout, but we're most likely to answer them at the end, I would say, as opposed to kind of throughout. What's Ben got to say? I can well believe it, as business owners write about their services and not necessarily about how their services can benefit the customer. Ben, you nailed it. Absolutely.
Benefits, not features.
Yes, indeed. We will be hitting on that in a bit. So you're probably wondering, where did we get that 80% from? And that was actually from one of our first questions, which was, if you have blogs on your website, which of the following statements do you in fact agree with? Was this the first one? Yes, it was. I was double checking. I was like, because we got the stats out and it was very, very interesting. Because on first glance, you're like, people find that they're getting value out of their blogs, 63%. But then when you actually look at that bottom stat that says our blogs directly earn leads/sales for our website, only 21% are getting that. Hence why we were like, that's not good. So yeah, only 21% are getting any leads and sales from their blogs, which means 79% aren't. Rounded up to 80.
That makes me cry.
I know.
Externally.
I didn't actually write in the notes on this one that it made me cry, but
those notes coming up.
It did. So of course, we're not just going to throw this stat at you and be like, "That's that." Next stat. We're going to try and give you some tips on how you can improve your own blogs, hitting on some of that stuff that Ben said before, basically about how you can actually add some value. Now, the first thing that I would definitely say is, if you haven't already, do keyword research. All the keyword research, as much as you can do, because you might be thinking, especially if you're new to digital marketing, you might be thinking, yeah, well, people know my product because they'll type book into Google because I sell books. But then when you actually dive into the keyword research, you're going to see that Dale is messing with the music and throwing me off. Sounds like I'm in like a Pokemon battle, Dale. I feel like I'm about to get really aggressive about the blogs. But yeah, so your keyword research is half data and half common sense. So let's go back to the bookshop example, right? Let's say you specialize in cookbooks. You're a cookbook shop in Glasgow. Let's go with the Scottish theme, Dale, for your sake. So you might think, okay, I'm going to research a bunch of keywords. And you see, oh my God, the word book is searched 1 million times on Google a day. That's 1 million people that might come across my website. But actually, that's so many results and so many people who are looking through these results and you're not going to get anywhere, especially if you're right at the bottom. You're going to be competing with the likes of Amazon. So then you need to start thinking about, okay, what's the intent of that person? Are they searching to buy a cookbook? Are they searching for what a book is? I know that sounds silly, but you don't know. Whereas you can be targeting things like cookbooks in Glasgow bookshop near me, stuff like that. So when you're picking your keywords, make sure they're actually related to your business in more ways than just vaguely. Just because it's a high volume keyword doesn't mean it's necessarily right for you. Do you agree, Dale? I feel like I waffled a little bit there.
You keep it going.
I'm sweating. I'm nervous for this one. Sorry, chat. I know you're not supposed to say that, but I was a little bit nervous. Anyway, the next tip that I will have, and you will see this in all our blogs, is multimedia. If you are bombarded with a huge wall of text, people are going to open that blog when they've typed in how to make souffle. I've just had dinner. I don't know why I'm making all food references. But when they've typed in how to make souffle and they just come into a wall of text, they're going to be like, whoa, no, this isn't for me. Click back to Google, go find somebody else. And not only is that meaning that that person who might have come to your souffle maker website and read that blog, they're not going to make a purchase if they've gone back to Google. That's number one. And number two, Google sees that as a bounce and is like, wow, that website can't be very good and can't be offering much value if they've gone straight back to us to find someone else. So something that's really important to keep people's attention and just make your content nice and give a bit of like personality and friendliness to your brand is include things like pictures, videos, loads of stuff like downloadables as much. Obviously don't overdo it and don't just put pictures in for sake, but like in our blog that we did for the stats for this ROI survey, we've got loads of pictures. We've got all the graphs rather than just, imagine if this blog was just all that text with the statistics written out. I would have been
expertly written, but boring.
Yeah, exactly. And so you've really got to think about what's going to bring people to your site, but what's going to keep them there. Yeah, so we did include some videos in that one. This one isn't super image heavy because it mostly, it is, but it focuses more on the stats. But we do have plenty of thumbnails with Tim's face.
Different ways, infographics, of course.
Yeah, exactly. But it's all about having that variety and having a bunch of things that keep people on the page and keep them engaged as well.
Absolutely.
So that is another thing. And there's loads of tools that you can use, like things like Canva, which are free, or Pro if you want to pay for it, but you can use that to create images, and it's like very, very, very user friendly. So if you're like, oh, I can't afford Photoshop, I can't afford Illustrator, I don't know how to do it, yeah, Canva is wonderful.
Yeah,
we're not paid to say that, can I add? We just love it.
I've been using Canva since maybe 2014, and I would say it was like one of the cornerstones of my career. Like, I don't think I would be where I am now without Canva. It's so user-friendly, easy to use. Like, the Pro plan is like perfection for me. I absolutely love it. And it's not that expensive either. But yeah, you can just do something really quickly in like 20 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour that can completely change around your blog posts, your guides, and make them more readable, scannable, and engaging.
Absolutely. Yeah, the Canva is awesome. But yeah, on to the next point. So this is something Ben mentioned earlier, which I think is really important. And I've definitely been in this situation before where your blog just ends up being news about your company. I put an asterisk there, but I didn't put an asterisk in my notes. So guess I'm going to wing it
so
for that
news
one.
As in, I'm going to say news as in like, oh, we collected £100 a bake sale today.
Yes. Whereas if your news was, we've just invented a flying car, that is incredible news. If your news is, we just hired someone, that's not news. And I know that sounds really awful, but you have to find the actual news story. So it's like, let's say your office is getting a new room added to it. That's exciting for you all who have been crammed into a small office. You might be like, oh, this is such big news. Whereas your audience...
Why do I feel like you've had to publish that in a previous role somewhere?
No, I actually haven't. I was trying to think of something really boring, and that was the one that I came up with. But really think about, like, what do your audience want to know, and how can you offer them a solution to that problem? So a great example that Tim actually used in a previous video was that if you're making a blog, let's say you sell keyboards, and you're making a blog about how to clean your keyboard, perhaps put a spin on it that's like, hey, did you know how much bacteria is on your keyboard? How gross. That's awful. You're never going to get it off. Here's our study with science that's actually backs this. Don't lie, please, in your blogs. But study that actually backs this. Why not buy our new antibacterial keyboard? And that was, I thought that was a pretty good example of how you can kind of use your blog to educate them, but also push them towards purchase too. Which is kind of why I included that bullet point about be helpful, because people like helpful people. And if you help your customers out, then when they come to actually make a purchase in the future, they're more likely to come back to you. So another example for that one that I used in a previous blog was, let's say somebody is thinking about getting a new puppy and they're researching things about how the first 3 weeks with your new puppy. You could create that as a pet insurance company, let's say. And then when they come to getting pet insurance a little bit further down the line, then they're going to be like, oh, that company that really made my first 3 weeks with the puppy easier, they do pet insurance. Well, let's go back there. So that's another reason why you should be helpful. Don't post just for the sake of posting. I think being helpful and having a purpose is very, very important. And that ties into the last bit, which is aim for high quality content. Don't post just for posting. Don't put a bunch of words out. Don't use an automated bot thing to write your content that's just optimized for keywords and it makes no sense. Because realistically, if you're going to put the time in, you might as well make it worthwhile. So yeah, that's the main things I have to say on blogs for now. I think we talk about it more later on, but I'm not going to bombard you more than I already have. Do you have anything to add, Dale?
So I was just going to give another example of a website where they're thinking about, okay, what's the high quality content that people need at the very beginning of their sales journey, or like the top of the funnel, which is normally, so in this example, which I'm going to switch screen now, is selling your house. So this is the advisory, which has like a whole load of information about how to sell your house, what you need to know before doing so. There's a whole bunch of free guides, so like sell your house fast, or house selling, how to prepare your home for a sale. When Jess is talking about aim for high quality content, this is what Jess is talking about. So it's just deep content that's like full of information. Now this isn't perfect because it could do with some more multimedia, but the amount of high quality insightful content in here is unquestionable. Like you're gonna learn an awful lot by reading something like this, and every single one of their guides is exactly the same. Like how much is let's have a look at some other ones. So what's the best time to sell, for example? Again, super long. Like look how many headings there are in this table of contents. Obviously lots of frequently asked questions. Here we go, a bit better with some imagery as well. It's almost good coming up to a good time to sell. That's good to know. Not that I own a house or anything, I'm trying to buy. This is another good example. It's just high quality content. It's got some multimedia in there to mix it up and make it easier to understand and scan. So this is what you should be aiming to replicate, something like this. And if you can include a video like we're able to do because of Tim's fantastic output and sharing like insightful knowledge about digital marketing, fantastic. So this is kind of like where you need to be. Back up to Jess.
Lovely, yes. So we're on to the next part, which actually answers a question somewhat that Shannon asked, which was how many people don't have a blog at all. So we don't have stats to say how many people don't have a blog at all, but we can talk a little bit about how many people think it's important or not important. So as you can see from here, majority, about 70% of people do think that having high quality website content and blog content is like super important for earning search engine traffic. So yes, win, because it absolutely is, and that we want to see more of that. And also quite a few people, well, the next level down also said that they thought high quality content was important for impressing their customers, which I just thought was really, really awesome that they were like excited to be impressing their customers with high quality content. But looking at those last three stats, basically 10% of people who responded to our survey believe website content isn't valuable to their business. Can I just add as well, these aren't our clients at Exposure Ninja. These are people that we surveyed externally, right, Dale? Oh, he's muted, I think. You're muted, Dale. You're on
mute. My bad.
You're fine. You're fine.
Yeah, so this is taken from a whole range of people. So we put this out through social media, through a mailing list of people who are on our client on our books right now.
Yes.
So yeah, that's a lot of people. I can tell you we've got 20,000 plus people on our mailing list. So yeah.
Indeed. But I just wanted to clarify when I'm throwing these sort of negative stats out there, they are
10% of Exposure Ninja's clients don't get leads from their content.
Don't say that out loud. Wow. Don't speak it into existence. Goodness. But yeah, so of the people surveyed, 10% just believe that website content just isn't valuable to their business, which blew my mind a little bit. And I actually made a note that if you're in that 10%, sit back and think, you know, is it because in my industry, everybody's in the same mindset? Oh, we don't do blog content. Whereas if you're the person who starts doing it, all of a sudden, all these customers that have their new questions and things that have never been answered online before are being answered. So let's say you sell silicone seals that go on things in parts. That might not sound interesting, but there's people out there buying silicone seals. There's big companies who their whole thing is selling these seals, right? And people will, there's stuff that you can write. We always say there's absolutely no boring businesses once you get to know them, and there's definitely stuff that you can talk about and that you can say and that your customers are interested in. So really, if you're not doing blog content, you have this incredible opportunity to be a thought leader in your space and be the ultimate number one source of info for customers. And like I said before, people like people who are helpful, and they want, you know, they'll come back to you in the future. So if it's a competitive space but nobody's shouting in it, if you're the shouter, people will pay attention to you, as long as you're doing good shouting, back to the quality and everything and the keyword research. But yeah, it just blew my mind that people thought it has no value.
Like there are many ways in which your quality content can be put onto your website. It really depends on. Like I was listening to a podcast with the CEO of Hugo Boss yesterday, who had 2.6 or 2.7 billion pounds or dollars worth of turnover last year. Like they're investing heavily in their website. Like their website sales have increased like by 40% in the past 18 months, 2 years. Pushed faster because of the C word that we all know and love. But they're investing like hundreds of thousands, maybe $1 million into their website, and you know, building it out and putting content on there and making it useful, like putting trend inspiration, stuff like that. They spend so much money on photography, on video, all that kind of stuff to bring people through to the website. So the website's content as well needs to be as high quality as everything else they're doing externally. So yeah, website exactly. Content a must have, even if you're not making 2.6 billion through commodity fashion sales.
Yeah, but even another thing as well to add is that if you're like, oh, my customers aren't online, they don't use the internet. Yeah, your current customers, if you don't want your business to crash and burn in the next few years when those customers are no longer your customers because they've retired and whatnot, and you're starting to have younger folks, then they're going to be researching, they're going to be going straight to Google. And where are you? So it's all well and good thinking of the now, but why not think of the future as well? And, you know, digital is very much the future. It is currently the future and will be the future. So it's like, yeah, there we go.
Interesting. This podcast I was listening to about the CEO of Hugo Boss, this was recorded 2 years ago, I think. And he was saying how, like, you know, whilst we'll be able to get more online sales by all the kind of nifty stuff they're trying, including like an app that will take your measurements and stuff, and it'll send you fabric samples, which you then choose from and then order your stuff done bespoke. Even there, I've lost my train of thought there. I don't know, what was I saying?
Saying it was 2 years ago, so it was before the.
That's it. They were like, okay, it doesn't matter what happens, we'll sell more through the website, but we're like an in-your-hand kind of product that people are going to want to buy something that they can wear. Not if Mr. Zuckerberg has anything to do with it. You're going to start seeing like Hugo Boss NFTs and like clothes you can wear, Hugo Boss clothes in the metaverse and stuff like that. So, yeah. he's wrong.
Yeah, I completely get you. I've just realised the time and I'm barely through my slides, so I'm going to try and speed it up a bit because I have a lot of interesting points.
I'm going to get my North Face clothes sorted
North
for my
Face
metaverse. North Face Gucci, oh my goodness.
The ultimate collab. Anyway, but yes, get your North Face in the metaverse, get it sorted out too. But yeah, so of course I said beforehand, before we got onto the 10% that aren't oh my god, I lost my train of thought now, because we got the 10% who don't think it's important. Obviously, we've still got 90% of people who do think it is important. So if you're like, I want to improve my content, I want to make it more high quality, there's a few different things you can do, including using things like the skyscraper method, which was coined from backlink.io. Let me just stop. Backlinko? No, I always say it wrong.
Backlinko.
Yeah, Backlinko. I popped it in the chat anyway. And that has a really good, like, deep dive into what the skyscraper method is. But basically you take inspiration, you don't steal, you take inspiration from people who are doing really well in your field, who are all ranking for the keywords you want to rank for, and then you write something better, which is what you want to do, which is why I also included there that you do some good competitor research and make sure that you're like, see what your competitors are doing, what are they talking about, what are they targeting, where do they have gaps that you think you could write something, or where do you think you could write something better. And another thing as well is include relevant calls to action, because it's so common that you'll be reading a blog that's like beginner's guide to coding, and then they'll be like, hey, here's our brand new coding for experts coders who have been coding for 10 years. Do you want to spend £1,000 on it? And I'm like, no, where's my beginner coding course, you know? And so make sure that even if you're pushing a product and you're having like, oh, we've got this new course and we want to push it everywhere, make sure you're making the correct content to push that and not just being like, oh, beginner's guides are really popular, let's tie that in. So make sure your CTA is relevant and also add value. Like I said before, give them a reason to come back, give them a reason to like you, and they will come back and, you know, wow, brain. They won't convert right away is what I'm trying to say. They might not convert that second, but if you plant that seed, they'll hopefully be back in the future to work with you, to use your service, to buy your product and whatnot. I could see Dale moving some things about on his screen in the background, and I don't know if he wants to say something.
No, we're all good.
Okay, cool. I was just checking.
Well, the one thing I can say is that make sure that you are commenting or leaving your questions in the chat. No,
don't do it.
Okay, it didn't happen. Nobody was drawn. You didn't see anything. I'm not drawing anybody's thing.
I covered the screen. It's fine. Nobody's.
That's right. All right, I swapped it. Yeah, if you do say something in the chat today, if it's a comment or just to tell me where you're watching from, or if you're enjoying the stream, that's always fantastic to know. Just you will be entered into the prize draw, which will be redone towards the end there. I tell you what, I'm just going to be okay. Created by Magic, you've definitely got a book, okay? So we'll sort that out at the end, and I'll draw again a little bit later on. So at the end of the stream, I'll draw again. So there's going to be 2 people with copies of our paperback of the 2022 edition of How to Get to the Top of Google with brand new. Where is it? This is the Bible of SEO. Ooh. Brand new checklist. So you can get these checklists, but only through getting the book, which you can either enter for the prize draw, or you can go and buy a copy for £0 and 0 pence over on Amazon right now. No, what did I click? I got to stop clicking stuff. Then you get access to these freebies. So there's like a keyword research spreadsheet. There is a content planning spreadsheet, all the kind of stuff that we use internally for our award-winning campaigns. As well, if you don't really want to go that route, you can get a free copy of it by going to exposureninja.com/YouTube, and you can just sign up and get a PDF version. Oh, that's live updates. You can go to this URL. And then when you have a copy, you can get live updates by going to the URLs listed in there. So plenty of ways for you to get a copy of the book today. Paperback edition, you just have to comment in the chat. And before we do continue, make sure you do hit like down below if you're enjoying the stream. I don't see a single like by Facebook right now. So if you could do that, that would be fantastic. It'd show Jess that you appreciate her hard work putting this presentation together.
Indeed.
Back to the Jessmeister.
And also, may I add, there's so much happening in that book, and it's so good that Dale didn't even know what tab to show, because there's so much content, there's so much info. So, you know,
I'm all about content.
Very good indeed. So back to the content. Something that we hear a lot is, what if I have a boring topic? What if my company is boring? Like I said about earlier, we don't believe there are boring companies once you get to know them. Hence why we said no problem. And here was 2 examples that I chose. I decided to go for YouTube examples at this time, but these are the exact kind of things that you can play off. So for instance, let's say the top company is somebody that sells a quick fix tire kit, right? They are reaching the customer in a moment. So I picked these because this is exactly what I would do. This would be my customer journey. So I'm driving, my tire dies. What do you call it? It goes flat. That's the word. My tire goes flat. I panic. I need a visual to show me exactly how to change my tire. I go to YouTube, which would be where I would go. I would go to YouTube. YouTube is like the world's second largest search engine. Loads of people search for stuff on YouTube. My mum taught herself to crochet from YouTube and she's really good at it. So, you know, it's great. But I would go to YouTube and search how to change flat tire and then watch a video about it. And then in the video, you can sprinkle in, is this a bad experience for you? Do you know we sell this quick change tire thing that you can buy? So next time this horrible situation happens, it won't be as stressful. And the same with the other one below. So I found a video, easiest way to clean your kettle. And what you might hope might happen, especially if you're a kettle company, is they'll watch the video and go, that looks difficult. That was really useful, but it looks difficult. Maybe I'll just buy a new kettle from these helpful kettle people that made me a video. But also, they'll probably use the video, and then when the kettle does go bust, they'll be like, oh, I've been cleaning my kettle for years using that video and that method. I'm going to buy from them. So there's all sorts of these different things that you can make. So really, selling kettles or selling tire replacement kits is quite boring. But when you actually think about it, both these searches are exceptionally helpful. One's got 1.5 million views and the kettle one has 100,000 views. But that's 100,000 to 1 million people that are going to see your video and be like, that was helpful. So yeah, we don't believe in boring companies, do we, Daryl?
Absolutely. I mean, people would say that some of our award-winning campaigns are boring in boring industries, and we've managed to absolutely dominate with those. So they have had huge traffic increases, revenue increases. I mean, revenue is the most important thing to us above anything else. No point ranking in first position for keyword phrases if they bring you 0 sales or 0 leads. So yeah, boring industries is probably like our thing. We should create a brand new slogan about the company around boring businesses.
Yeah, we should. No,
we make money from boring businesses. Coined.
But it's true. They don't have to be boring. They really, really don't. And you can make something exciting about it. So our next little question we asked was, is SEO vital to your business? And we found out that 78% see SEO as important, but 22% don't. I actually wrote in my notes that I'm emotionally hurt by this. So everybody that voted no, just know that you emotionally hurt me. But this absolutely blew my mind that 22% of people don't value search engine optimization. They don't value the effort that's put in to make
Hugo Boss, who make 2.6 billion in turnover, have prioritized e-commerce SEO as a crucial part of their business. It used to be just 4% of their business like 3 years ago, and today it's going to be a huge percentage of that. Like, if they're making ridiculous amount of money and they're focusing on it, like they already have like channels that bring them traffic. If they're prioritizing SEO, you need to prioritize SEO as well.
Absolutely. I completely agree. It doesn't matter your industry. People are going to Google to search up stuff about your product regardless. So definitely put the effort in. So our top tips are, number 1, SEO takes time. So if you are in a situation where you think it brings no value to your business because you tried it for a week and then nothing happened, you started putting some things in, then I'm really sorry, but it just hadn't been long enough. And especially if you've experimented with things like pay-per-click ads and got really fast returns, you're going to be like, SEO, what's the point? What's the point in SEO? It's so slow. But it does take time, but the returns are awesome. You might write an amazing piece of content that literally serves you for years to come, and you just update it with new information every now and then. But it takes time, but it's so worth the wait. And essentially, it only takes that time that it took to write it in terms of it being costing anything. It costs time, but you don't have to put money into it like you do PPC. I explained that badly, but hopefully people
do you know what, we were just looking yesterday at some of our clients and how they've claimed the featured snippet or position 0. I think position 0 is like a retired phrase now, but the featured snippet which is like the top phrase, and you see like text from the page itself or some images. Some of our clients have been with us since like 2015, 2016, and some of the results that we earned then in the very first year or two are still earning them traffic from that top position even now. So the time invested into that traffic 5 years ago, 7 years ago, is still earning traffic now. So it's worth investing. I don't know. You can write a blog post in an hour. Personally, I like to spend 8 to 10 to 12 hours writing a blog post because I only like to put out high quality content. But you could spend an hour writing something if you know it that well enough, that you could, see returns for years and years and years. So yeah, top tip, be patient.
Absolutely. The next thing that I added was search intent. So actually, somebody did ask a question not too long ago, which was, how do you know what your customers are searching for? And that ties into this. And do you know what I would say? You can literally ask them. If you have customers, just be like, how did you find me? How did you find me? And also just get into your customer's shoes and think about what people are searching for. So one of the example that I wrote in my notes was, let's say you're a yoga business and you're selling yoga gear. If you type yoga into Google, the things that are going to come up are going to be things like yoga classes near me, top yoga videos. They're not going to be things like yoga wear, unless you're like doing amazingly. But when I had a look at the search myself, which might be later in this presentation, I'm not sure. When I did the search myself, it didn't come up with like yoga wear. Whereas if you wanted to target, I'm trying to think, yoga wear for men, not really a niche that's targeted much, then that is a really specific search intent that somebody's searching for. You can have landing pages, men's yoga pages, that kind of thing that's more tailored towards them. And then you're matching that person's search intent as well as hitting a good keyword and not trying to target a keyword like yoga. That's huge. Hence why I included keyword competitiveness there as well. It's like the book example. So many companies are selling books. There's so many different reasons that people are searching book on Google. If you're a brand new book website, you're not going to be selling many books. Whereas if you have a hook, like for example, you're a book and coffee shop, you sell cookbooks, you're a LGBTQ literature and run shop, like I've seen a shop like that in London, which is awesome. And it's like, there are different things that you're bringing your audience in and setting yourself out from the market. So yeah, I waffled a bit there, but I think we got to the point in the end. Do you have anything else to add?
We're good. No, keep it coming.
Cool. So the next bit, which was very interesting considering our last bit, was that 74% of people do see SEO as their most important channel for 2022, which is awesome. So that gave me a little bit more hope in my heart. There's no negative in this one. But we actually saw as well, I believe 40%. So people could pick more than one channel. If you're like, Jess, that doesn't add up to 100. I know it spooked me for a little while as well, but then I realized people could pick more than one channel. But people are also focusing on email marketing, which is really, really awesome, as well as something else that was very interesting is that search engine advertising, which is obviously paid, came above organic social media, which we will touch on in a bit. But it was interesting to see where everything landed. And we also had a look at if people rely on paid advertising. And this was very, very interesting because we found the top two, even though people said, no, we don't rely on it, and somebody said, yes, we rely on it. Top said, no, we don't use it because it's too expensive. The next said, yes, it's effective, but it costs too much. So even though they're like, yeah, it's great for our business, but the cost, the price tag, is just not there. And so that led us on to something which was, is PPC, search and social, so whether that's on Google, Bing, wherever you are advertising, or on Instagram, Bing. Facebook, Twitter. Listen, I don't like to leave Bing out. Maybe
what's Bing?
Bing. Shush. Let me say, it's a good word to say out loud, so let me have that one. But if you're spending money on search engines, or if you're spending money on social media, is it the worst investment? And I gave you a little bit of a hint there. It's not. But a lot of people, because it's so, I think the thing with it is it's so easily accessible. Like you go onto Facebook, you start up a Facebook business profile and they're like, hey, you want to spend £5 right now and you can get all these numbers. And then you do it and it's great. You get all these numbers. You've designed something, a quick advert. You get all these numbers And then when you actually look at it, those numbers don't equate to anything. They're just numbers. Like, they're not sales, they're not return customers, they're just a bunch of clicks. And then people are like, why am I doing this? It's all false. It doesn't work. So we have some top tips for you. The first of all being test. You are not going to get a perfect result the first time. And this isn't just about, does this image work? Does this title work? It's stuff like trying different demographics. What do your different demographics like? Like, I've seen some adverts on YouTube for this company Vinted. I now dislike Vinted because I've seen so many Vinted ads, but I have noticed that they have different adverts for all their different demographics. And for some reason, I've seen like all of them, but they have like a mum who's selling some of her baby clothes that her kid's grown out of, and then it shows like a new mum buying them. There's one that's like an older woman who's like redoing her wardrobe. There's like somebody younger who's going to uni. And so that's a perfect example of how they've done all these different adverts. Obviously, these are like cinematic and they film them, but it's the same principle. They've obviously identified that they have these different customer bases and they want to target them all. And you might find, oh, wow, the one aimed at older women did better on Facebook because that seems to be where that demographic is. Whereas, hey, why don't we make a vertical version that we can run on TikTok or on Instagram or our younger audiences? So testing is so important.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say that the majority of the people that come through us for PPC or have PPC as part of their marketing mix, because we're kind of like full service digital marketing agency where we do SEO, content marketing, email marketing, influencer marketing, social media marketing, you name it, we can pretty much do it for you. A lot of the time when people are saying that their PPC is too expensive, it's just because they've not been doing this kind of stuff. They've not been optimizing, they've not been testing, they've not been seeing which network is best for them. Just, they might have read a blog post or seen a video by someone saying, oh, you should be jumping on TikTok ads because that's where everybody else is going right now. Doesn't mean it's necessarily the right thing for you. So yeah, I can see why people are saying that they're expensive. But also with the idea of like trying to reach a new audience, you could try networks that people aren't necessarily expecting to find your product. So for example, if you are selling yoga pants, yoga trousers, yoga pants, I guess people are calling it. What would you say for in the UK? I'm so used to saying yoga pants, but I guess that's more a US thing.
Leggings, gym leggings or yoga leggings.
Male gym leggings for men, for example.
Yeah.
Gym pants for men. You might be able to actually capture that audience or communicate with that audience by doing something a little bit different. So, for example, you wouldn't think of LinkedIn as a great network for reaching people to sell them gym wear, but you could do something like talking about the data you've captured and communicating that to people who are into data, who do data analysis of whatever company they work on, and say, hey, we've got this data analysis, and then they learn about your company that way and go, oh, do you know what? Maybe I should buy that, because it looks pretty decent. So you can find other ways of capturing your audiences in places they might not feel instinctively like that's the right place for me to go. That's the first place I should go. You can take other routes and find them through other avenues.
I completely agree. And like one of my own personal experiences, I would say, is I grow an affinity for a company when I'm doing a study of their marketing for one of our blogs. And when I learn about the founders and the history of the company, and there's all the, well, I didn't do that with Fuel, but I did a little bit of Gymshark, as now I'm like even more, I didn't even write about Gymshark. That's a pure lie. I wrote about a different company, Lululemon, which I didn't actually get a better affinity for them. But no, with some companies, like when I've worked on a video about them, for instance, like Tim did one about Simba mattresses, and I was like, these sound really cool. And I was really interested in their marketing and the kind of stuff that they do. And like Kylie Cosmetics, I never really cared much about the Kardashians. I saw that video and I was like, this is so clever, like the way they did this marketing strategy. But anyway, I'm getting
I can think of like a whole bunch of companies that have done similar stuff, like MailChimp, who is a company we've done analysis for. So if you search for Exposure Ninja MailChimp on YouTube, you'll see our marketing strategy analysis video for them and a whole bunch of others. They've done the same kind of thing. Like, for example, they took their design team and their engineer team and gave them a voice by giving them a blog so they could do stuff for themselves and talk about what they were going through. And people latched onto that. So they were sharing it on social media through LinkedIn, and the design team sharing something in some blog post they've done. Somebody sees that on LinkedIn and goes, oh, wicked. Or maybe actually we've been thinking about changing CRM or email marketing system. the first brand that comes to mind is MailChimp, because that's the one I've been experiencing with or coming into contact with most recently. So giving your team a voice, if you're working for an SME, you've got more than a few people, even if you've got just a small team of 5, giving each person a voice to go out there and promote themselves is a real good way of getting your brand out there. Not necessarily on the networks you would assume are best for you either.
Yeah, definitely. It's all about experimenting with stuff and figuring out what works for you on different platforms. And it's like, I'll touch on this in a minute, but there's a certain thing about like cultivating an audience, like a new audience. For instance, I'm going to talk about TikTok in a minute, but Ryanair did a really good job of realizing that if they went on TikTok, yes, they're targeting younger audiences who can't book flights yet, but in a few years, they're going to be wanting to start traveling with their friends, and they're going to be thinking, how's the cheapest way I can travel? And Ryanair, I was on their TikTok yesterday, actually, and they do so many memes and jokes about like how, I'm on a $9.99 flight. Like, that must be dangerous or scary, or people might judge me for buying a cheap flight. And they've kind of played into this while also being like, hey, do you know we have flights for £10? And like, it's, really, really interesting to see. I think a girl even did a video about like, covering my one bag on my back and pretending that I only have one carry-on bag. And Ryanair actually commented on the video being like, oh, that's funny, but like roasting her back. And it's like finding that, how can you fit into that space? But I'm very much fascinated by their marketing.
It kind of reminds me of like McDonald's adding the Happy Meal. It's not just because they want to have a product available for kids. It's so that kids get so addicted to their fast food that they only think about McDonald's for the next 10 to 20 years.
Me as an adult.
That's perfect, yeah, absolutely. Or the reason that like Mattel and a few other companies started doing cartoons for their products is because you've got to use the marketing channels available to you. But people get like so engrossed with those cartoons that they're still thinking about them 10, 20, 30 years later. Like Transformers as a product became a whole like media sensation, and people are still talking about it today because they were trying a different marketing method.
Absolutely. My Little Pony nailed it as well. There's quite a few kids shows that they've actually seemed to have put a lot of effort into, and then you're like, this is just to sell a product. But yeah, anyway, I'm conscious of time, so on to the next slide. Did you just sneeze or did you laugh? I was
laughing. Yes, you definitely have there's definitely a very dedicated fan base.
I could talk about that for hours, but we won't do that today. So you know what I was saying before about impulse or search? I put together some examples so you can see the type of things that people are going to be searching because they need it in the moment, or what people are going to maybe click through and buy on impulse. So the example that Tim always uses, and it just fits so well, is if somebody is locked out of their house, they're not going to sit on their doorstep and scroll Instagram and think, maybe I'll see an advert for a locksmith, or maybe I'll see an influencer locked out of her house and be like, I'm #ad, this locksmith company is amazing. Realistically, you're going to go to Google and type in locksmith near me if you don't already know someone. Realistically, I would ring my mum and cry, but then I would Google a locksmith near me. Whereas a product like the Udi, I don't actually have mine to hand right now, but a product like the Udi is the kind of thing you'll be scrolling on Facebook, Instagram, and pretty much anywhere, see that and be like, that looks cool. That looks like an interesting product. Maybe I'll click on it and make a purchase right now. I know I've done it. I know my mum has bought piles of rubbish off of Facebook. No offense, mum, if you're watching, because she sees it and it's an impulse buy. And so you definitely need to think about, is your product an impulse buy? Is there an element of your product that's an impulse buy? Maybe if you are a locksmith, maybe you offer a subscription service where people can have free call outs. Well, not free call outs, but they pay a monthly fee and then they'll get a call out. That's the kind of thing you could advertise on impulse. But realistically, if you're advertising your 24/7 locksmith service, I can see right now, if you're locked out your house at 3 a.m. because you left your keys in the club, then they're going to be Googling locksmith near me, and you want to be advertising at the top of Google, basically. So that is search, I suppose. I never know how to end my slides, Dale. I apologize.
Move on to the next one.
Onwards and upwards. So we had a little discussion about pay-per-click just then, but this bit focuses a bit more on social PPC and what people are thinking. So very interestingly, despite rumors that Facebook is dying, etc., but that's more organic reach, I suppose. Facebook is number one for paid social. That's what people are intending to spend the most on in 2022, followed by Instagram, and then by LinkedIn. And then you can see things really do whittle down after that. What I found absolutely fascinating, blew my mind, is that TikTok was in 7th place. Now, last year, TikTok was the second most visited website in the whole internet. The second most visited. And I don't have the stats to hand, but I know that people spend, like, out of all the other social platforms, they spend the longest on TikTok. And let me tell you, I'm a living proof that people spend too much time on TikTok. So it really surprised me that TikTok was in 7th place. And as someone who uses the platform, had noticed that not that many people seem to be advertising on there. If they do, it's like a big ad campaign where there's a filter, there's a hashtag, they've got influencers in on it, you know, and they're getting people involved in that way. And I was wondering why. So I went and did some research and saw that basically TikTok pay-per-click is very, very expensive. It's a minimum $50 to start a campaign. So realistically, compared to other places like Facebook, Instagram, which are like, you can literally get started with PPC for £5, it's so much more accessible for people. So I do think that is likely why TikTok is down there. But we will touch on the organic growth. Yes, there we go. TikTok reportedly overtakes YouTube in US average watch time. And like I said, I will watch a YouTube video, yeah, but I'm probably on TikTok at the same time. And that's the thing, because it's got that quick fire, intimate feeling about it. But yeah, that's quite impressive. Those graphs you're muted again, Dale, if you're saying anything.
No, I was about to say something. I realized I was muted. But cool. Yeah, I mean, you can look at that. I mean, that's from roughly the start of 2020, and I wish I had the figures for now as well, running up to now. But yeah, I saw a stat on Statistica, which is like a stats aggregator, said that in April of last year, people in US were watching TikTok videos for about 10 hours a week. 10 hours a week.
I don't know.
Just think how many videos that is when the videos are like 30 seconds long.
Let me see while we're here. Let me see if I can see how long I've spent on TikTok this week.
You do that. Whilst you're doing that, I'm just going to see if I can find Ryanair's account. So just coming back to that again, like Ryanair, huge company, they're not thinking about how they can capture people to get them to convert today. They're thinking about longevity. So people who might be thinking my business doesn't apply here, you can absolutely capture people for your business or make your brand aware to people through this. Okay, enough of that video. But like, you don't have to do it this way. Like, I've seen videos for companies that just sharing like how they make marble tables or how they fit kitchens and how they redecorate bathrooms and how they do woodworking to create like bespoke tables and all this kind of stuff that can, you know, once people find you, they stay and they watch video after video after video after video after video.
Absolutely.
But they really like get completely drawn in and fall in love with the people, the person doing the videos or the brand, and then eventually like, okay, that's it, I've watched the videos, I want to order that table, I want to order that company to come and do my bathroom or something like that. So boring businesses to you, what you might call a boring business, is something that people are actually really, really into. Like, people go into Pinterest and spend hours looking at like bathroom inspiration. If your company is listed in there, like your photos, your products are in there, or you can share videos on TikTok of you doing the work, then people are going to know about you and actually come to you to order your stuff, which means increased awareness, maybe to a point where you can't keep up, that you have to increase your prices to make it more exclusive, and the fact that you can't do every single project. So just think about the revenue increases off the back of doing something which E&E has said here isn't TikTok for idiots. Well, clearly not if Ryanair are pumping money into it, earning 1.5 million followers. 1.5
and the second most visited website in the world. Why would you not want to be on there?
It's like saying I'm not going to do SEO because people don't Google my product. I'm sorry, that's complete nonsense. Like, you want to be everywhere, preferably. Obviously, prioritize some channels over others. But yeah, it's absolutely bananas to completely discount a channel.
Yeah,
Without
definitely.
doing like proper research beforehand.
Oh yeah, and like I said, Ryanair really changed my perception about brands on TikTok 100%, because when they said they were reaching their audience of the future, I was like, also, Dale, would you like to have a guess at how many hours this week I've spent on TikTok?
17.
No, not 17. That was high. 6.5.
Well, I thought I knew you, but apparently not.
Half a day on TikTok, which, I mean, I don't keep my phone in my bedroom anymore, so I think if I did, no, not half a day, half a daylight day.
That half a day actually would have made more sense. That's what I would have expected.
No, quarter of a day. So that's actually not that bad, but still quite bad. And I'm a little bit embarrassed to say it out loud, but I said I would, so here we are. But yeah, so I thought that whole thing about Ryanair was really, really interesting.
And you can actually go and watch the webinar of one of the leadership team at Ryanair talking about why they're using TikTok via that video. It's a live webinar with the team at Content Cal, who I love and adore. Content Cal, if you want to send me some merch, I'm totally up for that.
Please, I would love merch.
And watch that. Yeah. Content Cal was just acquired by Adobe. Like that, they're doing fantastic stuff. So congrats.
They're doing really, really well. The other thing that I very much wanted to mention really quickly when we were talking about brands being involved in social conversations, if you type in, cringe brands on social, you're bound to come across loads and loads of stuff. And there is a time and a place to put your brand. I remember there was something, maybe a footballer had done something really good and somebody tried to like jump on the conversation and be like, do you need soundproofing? And it just made no sense. And we were like, why are you trying to advertise that on that tweet? It just felt really bizarre. Whereas, for instance, on TikTok, there was this girl trying to renovate her bathroom and she was doing the worst job you have ever seen. It's absolutely dreadful. But it went viral just because of how bad it was. And of course, in the comments, you've got all these paint companies, all these different brands, bathroom fitters who are like, hey, we can help you out, or leaving quirky things being like, hey, call me before this gets any worse. Like, I'm really getting into that Gen Z mindset. And I just thought that was really smart. But onwards with the rest of the stats. So something.
How many slides do we have left, Jess?
I don't know.
Let's keep it going. We must be near the end.
I think we are pretty near to the end. We have time. We've got 2 minutes left. I'll have to go really, really speedily. So we found that 60% of people still found that SEO had their best return on investment, which was wonderful to see. And we saw that organic social media was second, but second from the bottom was paid social media. And that totally ties in to everything we've said before, where we said, is organic better than paid social? And realistically, they have their own purposes. If you're doing one badly and one really well, you're going to get a bad return on one and a good return on the other, just because there's going to be that bias. But the same with SEO. Organic social does take longer. Paid is faster, but you could potentially be getting a lower quality of people clicking through to your site because you're not like cultivating those relationships. And then the last social tip I had is that you should focus on 1 or 2 platforms to start with. It can be very, very overwhelming if you're not experienced with social media to try and be like, oh, I need to do a TikTok strategy. I need to be doing YouTube. I need to be doing Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all of this. Whereas if you do some audience research, find out where your audience is most likely to be spending their time, research some hashtags. There's so much data online. If you type in like audience demographics for Facebook or audience demographics for social media, I think I even covered it in a blog recently, like you can find exactly where your audience are hanging out. So you can start off with a couple. We always recommend to expand, because if one of them shuts down or changes the algorithm dramatically, you don't want to be oversaturated in one place or overexposed. You don't want to have that ruin your whole marketing strategy. But start small and then build up from there. In terms of organic social, Facebook took the top spot again, and very, very interestingly, LinkedIn was above Instagram for us this year. So it was interesting to see that Facebook was still high up there despite a decline in reach. TikTok again was down low. I know I'm just emotionally attached to TikTok. It's obvious. I just love it. But I just see so much opportunity there. And and like I said, it was really surprising to see that LinkedIn actually overtook Instagram, but it could just be that this time around we just have more B2B companies who filled in our survey, and that's just that. But it was still cool to see it right up there in terms of organic social. Sorry, my brain, literally, I forgot what I was even doing then. It just left. So going on from organic social, we had a look at what channels people were looking to spend the majority of their marketing budget on this year. And organic search came out on top again. We just love SEO at Exposure Ninja. What can we say? And very interestingly, pay-per-click advertising was up there, even though people said they felt it didn't give them a good return on investment. So people are still willing to try, and they know they need to put money towards it. They're maybe just like, how do I do it? And of course, email marketing was still up there. Paid social was actually above organic social here as well. Maybe people are just like, I don't need any budget to spend on organic social media. But if you want to stand out and be creating that high quality content, you probably will want to put a little bit of budget in there. So do we have time to go through all this, Dale? I apologize. I mean, I don't have anywhere to be.
As long as you need. I'm going to go to the gym as soon as we're done. So
okay, cool. The pressure. Anyway,
you're holding me back from losing weight and putting on muscle.
Sorry. So of course, in the last slide, I talked a bit about what we're prioritizing with their budget, and now I'm talking about how you can choose how you are going to prioritize. So of course, that's how other people prioritize. They said SEO, paid PPC, paid social, organic social, but how can you do that for yourselves? And realistically, have a look at what's getting you the best ROI. And I'm not necessarily saying double down, but if you found that like Facebook PPC, the time that you tried it was actually really, really good, maybe looking to try it again, maybe look at refining your campaign and working on that again. If you found that the little bit of SEO you did for that one blog got you a load of traffic, then put that as your priority. There's so many different things, and it's all very much company by company. So have a look at what's getting you the best ROI and then work from there. And another thing, if you're like, I still don't know what's getting me the best ROI, I haven't done anything yet, Jazz, don't tell me to do this. Have a look at what your competitors are doing. Are your competitors running ads? Are your competitors, doing loads of blog content? Are your competitors doing YouTube content? If that's the case, then you might want to prioritize those things over others. But obviously, if competitors are doing YouTube content that's like done with a really expensive camera and looks amazing, but they're getting no views, then maybe YouTube actually isn't for your industry, which I would say is quite unlikely, but you never know. And of course, as I said before, don't rely on one platform. If you're relying on TikTok solely, and then for some reason it gets deleted off the whole internet, we're going to have a bad time. And also, one last thing, just because other people are doing a thing and you were like, I've done loads of Instagram advertising and it did not work for me at all, then that's fine. That is absolutely fine. It might just be that it's not for you. Let's say you've got a friend who's a business owner and they're like, oh my God, for our company that's totally different to yours, that sells spoons, whereas you lot are selling dog collars, that was not actually that different. They're both purchasable products. That was Dale's laughing at me because I just come out with the most random stuff. Let's say you're selling, one company is selling coaching courses and the other company is selling coats. That's two very different audiences. One is going to do great on Instagram. The other is going to do great on LinkedIn. So just because other people are spending all their money in one place does not mean that you need to prioritize that as well. Another thing that we look at every year is the challenges that marketers are facing. And we found out this year that working alone seems to be the one that is affecting people the most, which doesn't necessarily mean like sitting on your own in a corner. What it actually means is if you are the only marketer in the company or you're the only person doing digital marketing, and it can be a real struggle. There's actually a lot of studies saying that multitasking can reduce your productivity. This one even said it can reduce your productivity by 40%. So if you've got one person in your team who's like trying to do everything, it can be a big struggle. Yeah, we kind of do, but like we have loads of people that we can be like, help us please, help us out.
Yeah, absolutely.
But there are a lot of companies, I know I've worked in some, where there's one person doing the marketing and you can't put all your time and like love into individual platforms or individual things. Like you've got 10 minutes of your day to add to the blog, 10 minutes to do, and yes, go to the 90-minute marketing master plan, but I can remember if it's masterclass or master plan. But that is an amazing resource which will talk you through a bunch of stuff and help you prioritize your marketing, so you know exactly where to start. Another thing that's affected people, and this was actually our number one for previous year, is understanding why your target audience isn't converting. And let me tell you, you can ask them. Don't be afraid to ask them. You can do focus groups. You can do heat mapping. Use heat mapping tools on your website to see if they're like clicking off when your pop-up appears and they're like, whoa, that pop-up is garish. I don't want to be here anymore. You can see what are people doing? Why aren't they converting? And you can literally record people using your site. Like there's people who offer up their time to use your site and give feedback, and you can literally do that and see how they're using your site. But yeah, just ask people, just ask real people how they are experiencing your website. I've also noticed that the next tip was prioritizing, which I already did. That's why I was confused as to why that slide was there. So if you're wondering about prioritizing, I did that about 5 minutes ago. So I didn't prioritize the order of these slides, apparently. Oh, wait, no, I did write that. I've already covered it. Okay, ignore me. Sorry, I've been talking for an hour, so I'm talking over myself and under myself, apparently, and around myself. So the last thing was that a lot of people feel like they don't know which is their most valuable traffic source. And to me, this comes back to the working alone, not having enough time to work on stuff. So if you have time to individually analyze all your different platforms, it could be that you've like put some money into Google, put some money into Facebook, done a bunch of SEO, and you just haven't had time to sit down and realize, like, figure out what's working for you. And Chrissy, it's fine. I'm running over, so you're not actually late. I'm late. So there you go. And Phil, it said, is video essential in this day and age? Which, I mean, is very, very, very helpful indeed. It is really, really helpful. And I suppose if you have customers asking questions that need a very visual answer, it can be very, very useful. Like Dale might be able to answer this question a bit better. I felt like I had a confident answer and then got lost. You're muted. You're still muted, and you know you are. Hence why you're very much enunciating.
So elaborate. So as Jess has really said well, like the more visual your product or service, yeah, definitely get it into video. But with us, I mean, the majority, it's getting put to the point now where the majority of our leads are starting to come through YouTube, through video marketing. And ours is not a physical product. It's something that you sign up for and we do virtually. I mean, we do remotely. We're a 100% remote agency. So yeah, I mean, we would definitely say video is mandatory. But again, it comes down to how much time you have to dedicate to doing videos. They don't have to be super complicated. The one thing I say to e-commerce stores in particular is just grab a phone and record your products and just be honest about it. Like, it does this, it looks like this, it feels like this. Here it is in my hand. Here it is on the table. Just do it on your iPhone, pop it out in there, and that's going to give you more of a benefit than having no video at all. And after a while, when your sales increase, you're getting that revenue, you can then pay for like a really snazzily done video. But it's better to have video than nothing. So yeah, I absolutely would say so. So Phil, I really want to recommend, I don't know what the name of the channel is, but there was somebody who's living in Japan. I think he lives in Tokyo. I think he's a translator, and he's out there just walking around Tokyo, showing people what it looks like and talking to people in the street and just saying, like, he's great. His account just like took off.
Is it called like English in Japan or something?
Maybe, but like I'm quite sure he's offering translation services. He's getting known for it, and people are going to Japan and asking for it. Yeah, it could be that one.
I think it could be him.
Really lovely looking guy. Like funny, just wholesome. Like, I really like the content, and he's making a name for himself just by opening his phone and opening TikTok and hitting record. Like, it doesn't have to be complicated, and you get a name for yourself. More people become aware of you, which then helps your other channels as well. You can then remarket to people using PPC, display advertising, you name it. Cool. Jess, any more slides left before we cut to questions?
We do, but they're not. I feel like we've said enough, and I feel like we'll be repeating ourselves. We're 7 minutes over. Well, here's the other. This was my last tragic moment where I actually wrote "I am sobbing" in the comments. That nearly 40% got a negative ROI on their digital marketing.
That's tragic.
Which really hurt me, because I was like, that's such a shame, and it definitely feels like there's misguided advice. Maybe they're working with agencies who've taken them for a ride a bit, or maybe they're focusing on the wrong platforms because they've been told, you know, you should be posting your retirement home content on TikTok by somebody who doesn't know what they're talking about, just because TikTok's second most visited website. I know I've like hyped TikTok, but it doesn't work in every single situation. There's quite a lot of elderly folks on TikTok, but that's not the point. So yeah, I put 40% had a negative ROI, and I wrote, if you need help with this, please see the last hour and 10 minutes that we've just talked about. All sorts of stuff, choosing the right platforms, testing stuff, creating content. Oh, it is a different guy. Sorry, no, it's a totally different guy, and he's on TikTok. So there we go, Dale. Please.
Yeah, I'll get to that in just a second. I'm just super proud of that emoji ROI thing that I did in Canva.
I saw that earlier, and I was like, oh, you took my vision and made it a reality.
Going back like a little bit to the early part of the stream, all of this presentation was done in Canva. Like I did not use Photoshop or anything far more technical. Everything you see here, everything we do with our marketing, our social media stuff, thumbnails for videos, all Canva. It's so simple to use. Images, look at the images that you've seen in the blog post too, all in Canva. It's a fantastic tool. Anyone can use it. So yeah, the one I was talking to Phil about earlier, so Mr. Yabadan, 1.4 million subscribers. They're just it's just him walking around translating stuff and just talking to people. And he's making a name for himself. And people are coming to see his account. He doesn't even have like that many videos either. He's just you can do that. Just show people your experience of Tokyo with the world. And people get to know you. I mean, like, I'm not saying you're going to get 1.4 million followers, but yeah, you can definitely promote your translation services, Phil.
Yeah,
even if it's specifically for business, you can say like, in a business, people need to act in this way in Japan, and this is what that looks like. You can do it that way instead.
Absolutely. Like if I was traveling to Japan and I have one language, and we just double down on that. I don't speak any other languages because I'm terrible, but it would be fantastic to me to have that reassurance and know that I could hire somebody and they'd be like, that guy I saw on TikTok, maybe he's available. And more often than not, if you contact them and they're like, I don't have any bookings, so I'm too popular, here's my friend who offers the service as well. And then it's like a whole like referral link. So yeah, super interesting. So Phil, don't worry, there's opportunities for you. Moving onwards, we also looked at if people felt that digital marketing have resulted in like tangible results for their company, so whether that's like leads, sales, increased revenue, etc. And we actually found that 39% are still not using digital marketing for their business. They've only just started. And I was like, it's 2022 now. Get on the internet, get on there. There's some wild stats online of like, people who are on the internet. It's like 4.7 billion people use the internet every day who are like, and that might even be who just use Facebook. Listen, I look at a lot of stats every day, so I don't know exactly what that stat is, but basically there's a lot of people on the internet and a lot of people who are potentially going to stumble across your company online during a search, etc. That is not meant to be there. So now we're at the end. So yeah, now you can ask questions. Sorry for waffling on for 1,000 years. And yeah, questions. Cool. Go ahead.
Yeah, drop your question in the chat if you haven't already. I'm going to whiz through as many as we can in the time that we have allowed. Where can I put ourselves so that let's just leave it like that. Yes. So
earlier, I did see somebody ask how often should they be blogging, and the answer to that question is it depends. And I know it's very vague and annoying, but for instance, we write about marketing. We have a lot of things that we can write about digital marketing. Sometimes you just won't have enough to write about, and realistically the best thing to do is keep working on the blogs that you do have. So if you have, but also there's stuff like if you have a mega piece of content that's like everything you need to know about buying your first house, you can split that out. So you could do everything you need to know about your first solicitor visit when you're buying a new house. You can split it out. So there's a bunch of different stuff you can do, but really blogging as kind of often as you can, whether that's time, whether that's just general content. There's not much you can actually say.
Yeah, I mean, when I started blogging back in 2012, I was trying to put out like 5 blogs a week, which is really time exhaustive. I found I had a higher ROI when I put that same time into just creating one piece of fantastic content, and I got way more search traffic that way rather than having like some short pieces which just were not that engaging or useful to anyone. So yeah, it's better to put out one thing a month that's great rather than nothing at all, or 5 really, really average pieces. So just, high quality and as often as you can, but don't get too bummed out if you can't do more than one a month, for example. I'm going to go really back to the very beginning of the chat. So Hisem was asking if our mentorship program was restarted for 2022. Not just yet. It's going to be opening back up in the summer. Our current cohort is still ongoing. It should be finished in March. So we're going to give everyone a bit of a break after that. And then it'll start again once in the summer. But yeah, we're hopeful that we're going to be able to accommodate as many people as we have this year. We've got 22 people organized with a mentor. We'll hope to get up to about 50 come the summer. Question.
And hopefully I will be mentoring. Dale lets me.
I'd love you to mentor. That'd be fantastic. Can I look at your blog, please? It'd be great to have live feedback. I would absolutely love to, but we're really short for time. Is there an ideal length or range for a blog post, Jess?
No. And the reason I say no is that if you can say what you need to say in 500 words, why try and say it in 5,000 just because somebody's told you that more is better? If you're making a blog, so something we commonly see and that we see a lot of people comment on is, why do recipes have a whole life story at the start? It drives everybody round the bend. And it was because people thought it would help with their SEO. It doesn't really anymore because people are having the experience that we said before, where they're going on the page, they're seeing that somebody's talking about their grandma's cooking for half the page, and they've gone back because they want to find a page that literally says, here's your ingredients, here's your recipe, go make your food. So realistically, it's going to hurt now. So the ideal length is whatever you need to tell what you need to tell, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. Do your competitor research, see what other people are doing, what kind of lengths they're using, what kind of word count, that kind of stuff is useful to know. But at the end of the day, write for what's best for a person and not necessarily for Google. You can enhance for Google, but write for people. Be just like the best solution you can possibly be. How can you find out what your customers are searching for, Jess?
Yes. So examples are, like I said, you can ask them. But if you are a brand new business, you don't have any physical customers, then you can use some websites like People Also Ask, or another one that Dale told me about, which was called, you can't remember.
Also Ask. So Also Ask.com.
Yeah. And so you can see, you can type in your keyword. So for instance, where I wrote a blog before and I typed in keyboards and it showed me a bunch of different searches based on keyboards. So which is the best keyboards, which are the best keyboards for gaming, stuff like that. And they're the kind of things that you can make content about and see what your audience is searching for. And it also gives you a good insight into stuff. For instance, if you type in keyboards into Google, you're going to get a mix of PC keyboards and musical keyboards. So you might want to refine your search a little bit more. Other things that you can do is literally when you type your keyword into Google, those also ask things pop up as well. So you can actually look at those and think, right, how can I make a piece of content based around this? And there's also some tools, for instance, like we use SE ranking or SEMrush, which can also give you some insights into the sort of like long tail keywords that people are searching for. But you can type these into Google, you can type these into YouTube. Like YouTube's a great example because you can literally type in, like, for instance, I typed in how to change a tire, but then I'll see down the side all the recommended videos that are like how to change windscreen wipers, how to change something else that's on a car. I mean, I have one. That's all I know. But you know, and that's how you'll see the other kind of things that people are searching. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, one great thing to do is go into like dedicated communities. So like a Reddit, have subreddits for certain things. You can see what people are talking about, what questions they have. Like in the coffee community there's like a weekly or daily questions and answer thread. So if people are asking the same questions again and again and again, they're probably searching those questions as well. So you can get that content to your website to get people through to your website that way. There's also Q-Order as well, or Q or A or Q.
Oh, yes, yeah, the question.
Q-Order. Yeah, it's Q or an A, or it's some weird thing. I don't know. But yeah, people asking questions about your industry all the time on a daily basis. You can see what kind of things can be covered in a blog post or a video instead. And this is just a rhetorical one, I think. So I'm most surprised by unsolicited emails for SEO services. Doesn't anyone think of SEO? Just Google it. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, people who are actually searching for those services, like the the ROI on outreach to companies saying, oh, would you like us to do your SEO? No, we don't do that. We don't do outreach. Cold outbound. But yeah, the return on that is really low. And when you do choose those companies, you're generally getting absolute junk. So trying to avoid those companies unless you've built up a relationship with them before they start to pitch you their services, because then they tend to be a little bit better. I've shown this one already, but isn't TikTok for idiots? Well, I clearly not. I'm not stupid. Neither is Jess, and we use TikTok. So, what else?
I mean, I make stupid videos. I watch stupid videos. So maybe.
But that doesn't make you stupid. Like, people veg out to like The Voice and all this kind of stupid stuff.
Exactly,
dancing.
Exactly.
They're stupid TV shows, but they're not for stupid people. It's just you want to turn into a vegetable by Friday night. You just want to go there.
Yeah. And also,
cool.
One of my sisters found that she had a deep love for painting and learned to paint through TikTok. So I thought that was really wonderful.
Well, there you go then.
So it's definitely got a lot of different outlets, and it's always what you reap what you sow on TikTok. If you interact with stupid content, you'll get stupid content in return. It's got one of the most, in my opinion, sophisticated algorithms ever, and it pretty much knows everything about me.
You gotta love algorithms.
Yeah, there we go.
So Matt Smith is asking, how do you guys have an agency so large and stay fully remote? Well, we're not new to this. We've been remote since 2014. So whilst a lot of other agencies are still getting used to this idea of working remotely and how you deliver on your services and make them award-winning like ours are, we're really we're veterans of this. We're pretty much the original 100% remote digital marketing agency. We're just really good at this. It comes down to tried and tested processes, making sure that everybody feels as connected as we can make them. Jess, I don't know if you have anything to say about like how you feel as a ninja.
Yeah, I love it. It's my favorite job I've ever had. I've had quite a few jobs, but this is certainly my favorite. Like, I feel connected to multiple people. I don't feel afraid to like reach out to people. What's awesome is you can ask somebody about their weekend, and you don't have to stand. I know that sounds really awful. You don't have to like stand there and listen. Right? I know. I worded that really badly, but it's like then you can get on with your work and then respond to them when you have downtime. So I still get that connection with people, but it's like totally on my terms, which is amazing. So yeah, and I was a bit worried, like, would I feel lonely or whatever, but I feel like I have a lot of support at work, and again, seems to be word of the day, you reap what you sow. If you try and be social with other people, you're going to get that social life back, and I think it's broken me. I don't know if I could work in an office again. Because I just love working.
I never worked in an office, but I could not trade the high level of productivity I have from being able to shut Slack and not have somebody tapping me on the shoulder.
Yes.
Compared to if I was in an office and people saying, "Oh, Dale, I need that thing today. Oh, Dale, I need that thing tomorrow."
Yeah. And that's exactly what happens.
I'm working on it, and I get more done because there's nobody disrupting me.
Yes, absolutely. And there's just other awesome stuff as well that I know that I get a slump at the moment, like 1 p.m. So I do a workout at lunch, so that it gives me my energy. It's not really that much opportunity to do that in a normal office space. Yeah, see, you can just jump up and down without having to worry if people are looking at you. So
play music as loud as you want, unless you live in tenements like I do. I can't even breathe without somebody hearing you next door.
Basically, yeah.
Fantastic. Cool. So I'm going to do the giveaway once again. So Created by Magic, congrats to you. All you have to do to get that copy, the paperback copy of the book, is to email me at dale@exposureninja.com with your postal address and a contact phone number so we can get confirmation of delivery if they run into trouble. I'm going to hit it once again to see who else gets a copy. Hopefully it won't be Exposure Ninja, who I've seen the name pop up a few times. Jazz, fantastic. Congratulations to you. So you also have to email me at dale@exposureninja.com and send me your postal address and a confirmation phone number, and we'll get that sorted for you. Anything else? No, that's pretty much it. So if you want a copy of the book and you can get a Kindle copy for £0 and 0 pence right now over on YouTube. But if you not on YouTube, on Kindle, on Amazon, wherever you're in the UK, Canada, US, you can get it there for £0, 0 pence until Tuesday. Otherwise, you can go to exposureninja.com/YouTube and get a PDF copy right away, which includes access to all those freebie templates and stuff like that. That's pretty much it for today. I think there's one final slide there, Jess, if you could just bunch along just one. So you can go to read more about this survey and all the data and the insights that we found by going to exposureninja.com/blog/marketing ROI.
It's very much labor of love. Please go read it.
Absolutely. It's a fantastic piece. It's really insightful. And if you skip along one more slide, you can request a review of your website and marketing by going to exposureninja.com/review. And we try and help as many businesses as we can. But we had 4,000 requests for our marketing review last year. So we do our best to accommodate as many businesses as we can. So just go over there and request a personalized review of your website and marketing. That's pretty much it. If you haven't hit like down below to show your appreciation for Jess and her fantastic work on this survey and this presentation, that'd be really appreciated. And if you're new here, if you haven't yet subscribed, make sure you do, because we'll be back next Friday to do another live stream, which will be helping you to do better digital marketing for your business and or brand. Jess, thank you ever so much for coming. You've been great as always. I can't wait to get you back onto the stream once again. Everyone, have a fantastic weekend. Oh, it's an absolute pleasure. I love sharing the screen with you. Take care, everyone. I shall see you this time. Well, not this time, next week. 1 p.m. next Friday. Don't know what the stream is going to be about yet. We will find out then. Okay. Everyone, take care of yourselves, and I will see you next week. Take care. Bye.